The notification sound on my phone had become a source of dread. Every ping, every buzz made my stomach tighten. For 3 months, I'd been receiving messages that started as what she called harmless jokes, but had escalated into something far more sinister. What began as playful teasing had morphed into calculated harassment, and I had documented every single word of it. My name is Sarah, and this is the story of how text messages, dozens of them carefully saved and organized, became the evidence that won me a small claims court case against someone I once considered a friend. It all started innocently enough. Madison and I had been friends since college, bonded over late-night study sessions and our shared love of terrible reality TV. After graduation, we both ended up in the same city, working in marketing for different companies. We'd meet for brunch on Sundays, share memes throughout the week, and genuinely enjoyed each other's company. The shift began when I got promoted to senior marketing manager at my firm. Madison had applied for a similar position at her company and didn't get it. I remember the text she sent me the day I shared my good news. Wow, must be nice to have connections. Congrats, I guess. I brushed it off. Everyone deals with disappointment differently, I told myself. But that text was the first crack in what would become a complete fracture of our friendship. Over the following weeks, Madison's texts took on an edge. They were always framed as jokes, always followed by LOL or just kidding, but the barbs were unmistakable. Saw your LinkedIn post. Trying to sound smart for the bosses? Must be exhausting pretending to know what you're doing at work, LOL. Your new profile pic is interesting. Very trying too hard vibes, haha JK. Each message felt like a small cut. Individually, they might seem insignificant, but they arrived daily, sometimes multiple times a day. The constant drip of negativity was wearing me down. I stopped sharing good news with her. I started dreading checking my phone. When I finally confronted her via text, asking her to stop making these comments, her response was predictable. OMG, you're so sensitive. I'm just joking around like we always do. You've changed since you got that promotion. You used to be fun. That text particularly stung because it did what all good gaslighting does. It made me question myself. Was I being too sensitive? Had I changed? Was I the problem? 2 months into this pattern of behavior, Madison approached me with a business proposition. She wanted to start a side business selling handmade jewelry and needed a website. Knowing I had connections with web developers through my job, she asked if I could help. Despite everything, I wanted to believe in our friendship. I wanted to think that maybe working on a project together would bring back the good times. So I agreed. I connected Madison with Tyler, a freelance web developer I'd worked with on several company projects. Tyler was reliable, talented, and reasonable with his pricing. He quoted Madison $1,500 for a professional e-commerce website with custom features she'd requested. Madison asked if I would cover half the cost up front as an investment in her business, promising to pay me back once she started making sales. She projected it would take about 3 months to recoup the investment. I hesitated. Something felt off, but she sent a long text about how much our friendship meant to her, how she was sorry if she'd been weird lately, and how this business was her dream. Against my better judgment, I agreed. I sent Tyler $750. He began work on the website immediately. The website was completed within 3 weeks. Tyler did beautiful work, clean design, easy navigation, mobile responsive, everything Madison had asked for. She seemed thrilled, texting me photos of the site with heart emojis and exclamation points. This is perfect. Thank you so much for believing in me. You're the best friend ever. For a brief moment, things felt normal again. I thought we'd turned a corner. Then, the 3-month mark came and went. No mention of payment. I waited another 2 weeks before sending a gentle reminder text. Hey, hope the business is going well. Just wanted to check in about the $750 when you get a chance. Her response, wow, really? You're hitting me up for money? I thought that was a gift because we're friends. This is so awkward, lol. I stared at my phone in disbelief. I scrolled back through our texts. Nowhere had the word gift appeared. Everything in writing clearly indicated this was a loan to be repaid. I responded, Madison, we agreed this was an investment you'd pay back. I have all our texts about this. I really need that money back. What followed was a barrage of messages that oscillated between aggressive and manipulative. You're being so materialistic right now. Money isn't everything. I can't believe you're choosing money over our friendship. The business is struggling because you connected me with an expensive developer. This is kind of your fault, TBH. Everyone's going to know how you treat your friends when they need support. Each message was a masterclass in deflection and guilt tripping. but I saved every single one. When I continued to insist on repayment, Madison's texts turned nasty. The veneer of jokes completely dropped. You've always been fake. I should have seen it earlier. No wonder you don't have many friends. You're cold and calculating. Good luck in life being a miserable person obsessed with money. Then came the threats. I have screenshots of things you've said about your boss. Would be a shame if those ended up in the wrong inbox, lol Jake. Unless... That message made my blood run cold. Yes, I'd vented to her about frustrations at work. That's what friends do. The idea that she would weaponize private conversations was chilling. But more messages followed. I could tell Tyler what you really think about his work. Remember what you said about that bug he didn't catch? Your company might be interested to know you're running side businesses on company time. I wasn't, but the implication was clear. Each threat was followed by LOL or JK or a smiley emoji. Her legal shield making everything deniable as a joke. I consulted with a lawyer friend who reviewed the texts. Her assessment was clear. This is harassment, and you have a solid small claims case for the money. The threats might even qualify for a restraining order. I didn't want it to come to this. I sent one final text to Madison. I'm asking you one last time to pay back the $750 as agreed. If I don't hear back from you within 1 week with a payment plan, I'll have no choice but to pursue this through small claims court. I have documentation of everything. Her response? Do it. You won't. You're all talk. Plus, everyone will see what a petty butcher you are for suing a friend over pocket change. Good luck with that. That text was the final push I needed. She'd called my bluff, assuming I'd back down. She was wrong. I spent an entire weekend organizing everything. I created a detailed timeline with screenshots of every relevant text message, the initial conversation about the website and Tyler, the explicit discussion about me covering half the cost as an investment to be repaid, her promises about the repayment timeline, my payment confirmation to Tyler's confirmation of work completion, my request for repayment, her refusal and claims it was a gift, the harassing messages, the threats. I printed everything in chronological order, highlighted key passages, and created an index. I had 47 pages of text message evidence. I also gathered bank statements showing my $750 payment to Tyler's invoice, showing the total project cost, a written statement from Tyler, confirming the business arrangement, and that Madison was the client. Screenshots of Madison's jewelry business Instagram page, showing it was indeed active and making sales. The filing process for small claims court was simpler than I expected. In my state, cases under $5,000 can be filed with a basic form and a small filing fee. I filed for the $750 principal plus the court filing fees. After I filed, Madison's texts resumed with a vengeance. You actually filed? You're insane. Literally psycho behavior. This is going to be so embarrassing for you when the judge laughs you out of court. I showed the paperwork to my boyfriend, and he said you have no case and you're harassing me. Hope you enjoy wasting everyone's time over $750 you gave me. I didn't respond to any of these messages. My lawyer friend had advised me to cease all communication except through the court, but I saved every message. Each one was more evidence of her awareness of the debt and her refusal to pay. The hearing was scheduled for a Thursday morning, 6 weeks after I filed. I arrived 30 minutes early, my evidence binder in hand, dressed professionally but not overly formal. Madison showed up 15 minutes late, looking flustered. She was alone, no lawyer, which was typical for small claims court, but also no supporting documents that I could see. The judge, a woman in her 50s with a no-nonsense demeanor, called our case. We both approached the bench. The judge asked me to present my case first. I kept it simple and factual. Your Honor, I'm here to recover $750 that I loaned to the defendant for a business expense, specifically half the cost of a website developed for her jewelry business. The defendant has refused to repay this loan despite clear agreement that it would be repaid. The judge asked if I had documentation. I handed over my binder, already tabbed to the most relevant sections. As the judge reviewed the texts, I watched her eyebrows rise slightly. She spent several minutes reading through the timeline I'd created, occasionally flipping back and forth between pages. Ms. Chen, the judge addressed Madison, did you receive $750 from the plaintiff for a website for your business? Madison launched into what I recognized as her deflection routine. Well, yes, but Your Honor, we were friends, and when friends help each other, it's not always about money, you know? She offered to help because she wanted to support me, and now she's trying to... The judge held up a hand. Did you agree to pay this money back? She said it was an investment, and investments are risky, so... That's not what I asked. Did you at any point agree to repay this money? Madison shifted uncomfortably. I mean, we talked about it, but It wasn't like a formal thing. The judge looked down at the binder. I'm looking at a text message from you dated February 14th where you wrote, "I'll pay you back as soon as the business takes off, probably like 3 months. Is that your text message?" Madison's face flushed. Yes, but I was just saying that to be nice, not like a legal promise or... And here on March 3rd, you wrote, "Once I start making sales, I'll get you back that $750 for sure." Is that also you? Yes, but did you start making sales? Silence. The judge turned to a page I'd marked showing screenshots from Madison's Instagram. I see here that your business Instagram account shows regular sales posts starting in late February. Is this your business? Yes, but the profits aren't... Ms. Chen, did you make an agreement to repay $750 to the plaintiff? Yes, but she can afford it and I'm struggling and that's not relevant to whether you owe the debt. The judge looked back at my documentation. I also see here quite a few text messages from you to the plaintiff that I would characterize as harassing in nature. Messages calling her names, threatening to damage her professional reputation, claiming she's materialistic for requesting repayment of money you agreed to repay. Madison started to speak, but the judge continued. What I see here is a clear agreement to repay money, documented refusal to honor that agreement, and frankly, Ms. Chen, some very troubling communications. The plaintiff has demonstrated a preponderance of evidence that you owe this debt. The judge paused, looking directly at Madison. I'm ruling in favor of the plaintiff. You are ordered to pay $750 to Ms. Rodriguez within 30 days. Additionally, you are ordered to pay the court filing fees of $75. That's a total of $825. Madison's mouth fell open. But that's not fair. She has more money than me, and the ruling stands. You will receive paperwork outlining payment instructions. If you fail to pay within 30 days, the plaintiff can pursue wage garnishment or other collection methods. Court is adjourned. Walking out of that courtroom felt surreal. I'd won, but I didn't feel triumphant. I felt exhausted and sad that our friendship had come to this. Madison sent one final text as I was driving home. Hope you're happy. You humiliated me in court over nothing. Shows what kind of person you really are. I didn't respond. I blocked her number. The payment came 28 days later. 2 days before the deadline. No note, no apology, just a bank transfer for exactly $825. Looking back on this experience, several lessons stand out. Document everything. I cannot stress this enough. Text messages, emails, any written communication, save it all. I never imagined when I was casually saving Madison's early messages that they would end up as court evidence, but they became the foundation of my case. Set clear boundaries in writing. When money is involved, even with friends, get agreements in writing. A simple text confirming terms can save enormous headaches later. Trust your instincts. I knew something felt off when Madison asked for the money. I should have listened to that feeling. If a relationship already feels strained, adding financial complexity rarely improves things. Just kidding, doesn't erase harm. Madison's constant use of LOL, JK, and emojis to soften her insults and threats was a manipulation tactic. Intent matters less than impact. If something feels hurtful or threatening, it probably is, regardless of how it's framed. Small claims court exists for a reason. I was intimidated by the idea of going to court, but the process was more accessible than I expected. The system is designed for regular people to resolve disputes without lawyers. Some relationships aren't worth saving. This is perhaps the hardest lesson. I spent months trying to preserve a friendship that had already died. Madison's behavior showed me who she really was. Or at least who she had become. Letting go was painful, but necessary. It's been 8 months since that court date. I haven't heard from Madison since I blocked her, though mutual friends tell me she tells a very different version of this story, one where I'm the villain who sued her over a gift because I'm greedy. I don't bother correcting the record with people who believe her version. Anyone who knows me knows the truth, and anyone who doesn't know me well enough to give me the benefit of the doubt isn't someone I need in my life anyway. The $825 is sitting in a savings account. Honestly, I haven't decided what to do with it yet. Part of me wants to donate it to charity, to transform something negative into something positive. Part of me wants to keep it as a reminder of the importance of standing up for myself. What I do know is this. Those text messages, all 47 pages of them, taught me that words matter. Written words especially. They create a record, a trail, a story. Madison thought her jokes were deniable, that her manipulations were subtle enough to escape accountability. But screenshots don't lie, timestamps don't forget, and judges read very carefully. If you're in a situation where someone owes you money, where someone is harassing you under the guise of humor, where you're being manipulated and gaslit, document it. Save those texts. Take those screenshots. You might think you're being paranoid or petty, but you're actually being smart. Because someday those messages might become Exhibit A in your own case for justice. And when that day comes, you'll be glad you have them.